We have a small change on the roster, or a small non-change on the roster, I guess is probably the better way to look at it, which is minor, but I think worth talking about on several levels. Welcome to the Scrambling Armchair Chiefs news, analysis, and opinion every day. Now, we have a story to get into, but I want to talk about something real quick first. For only the second time in the entire time that I've been making content online, someone approached me and said, "Hey, are you that weird guy that does the Chiefs videos?" And I said, "Yes." So Trinity, if you are watching this, thank you for saying something. I understand that I have a very severe case of RBF, but you didn't let that stop you. So we have an article titled "Chiefs Gain Salary Cap Space by Adjusting Nazeeh Johnson's Contract," subtitled "The Cornerback is Now More Likely to Stick in Kansas City for the Upcoming Season," from Arrowhead Pride by Jared Sapp. Not a guarantee of anything, but it does look more likely that Nazeeh Johnson will be back. The article begins like this: "Just before the beginning of the new league year, the Kansas City Chiefs made an unexpected decision when they tendered cornerback Nazeeh Johnson and linebacker Jack Cochran right of first refusal restricted free agent contracts, RFA tenders. Before these tendies were made, I predicted that the Chiefs would not tender any of their RFAs because of the $3.3 million price tag for even the lowest RFA tender amount. Given their I can't read today and I don't know why. Given their level of play and ample free agency options who would be less expensive, tying up almost $7 million in cap space for Johnson and Cochran seemed curious. Johnson officially re-signed with the Chiefs on March 27th, but as it turns out, he will not earn $3.3 million in 2025. According to the salary cap website SpotTrack, Johnson's base salary is now listed at $1.2 million, with $800,000 of it guaranteed, on top of a $400,000 signing bonus. The cornerback can also receive a $150,000 workout bonus and up to $200,000 in per-game active roster bonuses. This will allow him to make up to $1.9 million this season. His cap hit is actually about $12,000 less because he played in only 16 games last year, meaning the 17th game day bonus is considered not likely to be earned. Now, this is not the biggest signing in the world, right? But here's why I think that it's taking a little bit more heat than it should. Yeah, Nazeeh Johnson got absolutely torched last season as cornerback number 2. But I'm going to go back to an argument from Nick Wright years and years and years ago during the Thigpen drama. Remember that first time Tyler Thigpen stepped on the field, I believe it was against the Falcons. And it was a disaster. I don't mean he had a bad game. I mean, it was one of these things where it looked like it was bring your child to work day, and that kid ended up with a helmet on. It was bad. Everyone was mad. Of course they were mad. This is a professional NFL franchise. Their backup quarterback was that bad. Nick Wright took to the airwaves the very next day with an argument I will never forget. Nick Wright said, "Hey, Tyler Thigpen, I believe he was put into the game because of injury. I don't believe that maybe he started it. I can't remember. Anyway, Nick Wright said, look, Tyler Thigpen didn't ask for this." To me, at the time, didn't make a whole lot of sense, right? He didn't ask for this. He's the backup quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, yeah, you would be too if they asked you. I would be too if they asked me. It's unlikely to happen. But should they come to your favorite neighborhood scrambling armchair and say, hey, would you like to quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs? Sure, yeah, great. Sign me up. Give me $800,000. Give me a cool $1 million. But the moment I find myself on the field, things are a little different. That's the kind of game Tyler Thigpen had. And Nick Wright said, don't blame it on him. He did not ask for this. He did not say, Coach, put me in. I can win this game. And that's true. Nazeeh Johnson was playing the best football he could. Nazeeh Johnson is not a cornerback 2. The good news is, for Nazeeh Johnson, you still need 4 or 5 of them, right? Nazeeh Johnson as a 4th corner, I think, is a pretty good option. Nazeeh Johnson, by the way, also going to be, in my opinion, a core special teamer. Nazeeh Johnson has proven himself to be good at the special teams. This is not just a defensive back signing. This is not just a cornerback signing. This is a cornerback and special teamer signing. You have to have guys who can do both. And before we really get away from it, let's not forget who Nazeeh Johnson is. Nazeeh Johnson, 5'10" and 1/4 inches, a true 5'10". Not a short guy. 199 for a cornerback. That's right in there with where you got to be. Just shy of 200 pounds. That gets a pass. 30 and 3/8 inch arms. Not the greatest in the world, but okay. 4.38 40-yard dash. That is blazing. That is the type of thing you love to see if you are drafting a cornerback. A 42-inch vertical jump. That is a great explosive number. 10'9" broad jump. I believe that is sort of on the higher end of good, but not a great number. And then 16 reps on the bench press. That's actually pretty good, especially when you're looking at a guy who is just short of 200 pounds. So the big takeaway from this signing, in my opinion, should this go through and he finds himself a member of the Kansas City Chiefs, continuity is continuity. The Chiefs need players to follow from season to season. There have been no shortage of turnovers during Brett Veach's tenure. And when you've been to 3 consecutive Super Bowls, no news is good news, right? The further away the Kansas City Chiefs stay from headlines this offseason, the better it's going to be for this entire franchise. The more likely it makes it that the Kansas City Chiefs will go to 4 consecutive Super Bowls and win 3 of them. So this is not a high-profile signing. It is a signing that keeps things in line. And frankly, pretend, so the best case scenario is Nazeeh Johnson doesn't make the roster. How's that the best case scenario? Well, because that means that the guys who are on your team got better, and it means you probably brought in a couple names in the draft that ended up being better than a guy who is a 4th corner in the NFL. I don't think there is any shame in having Nazeeh Johnson as your number 4 corner, let alone your number 5 corner. So, should the Chiefs find themselves in position where they can release or trade Nazeeh Johnson, that makes a ton of sense. It means that the Chiefs have gotten better at the cornerback position, not worse. So, again, not the biggest move in the world, but one that I think does deserve to be talked about. Also in that article, talked about Jack Cochran and the Chiefs wanting to wait until, they know about the injury to really tender him. Malik Herring will be back, but he will be back on a cheaper deal. Malik Herring, I think, is Malik Herring is a good, just like Nazeeh Johnson probably is a good, just like Jack Cochran probably is a good gatekeeper. This is a phrase that you hear oftentimes in MMA. Tyron Woodley, the UFC fighter from St. Louis, went to Mizzou, was a champion for a long time in the UFC. When he lost that championship, he became a gatekeeper for the division. What that means is guys who you don't know if they're ready to get the push, throw them in the ring with Tyron Woodley. If they're not ready for it, Tyron Woodley is just going to mash a mud hole in their face. And if he is good enough for it, well, then he can beat Tyron Woodley. Having gatekeepers like that on your roster, Nazeeh Johnson can play corner in the NFL. Jack Cochran can hold his own at linebacker in the NFL. Malik Herring is a guy who can get standard NFL reps per game. Not a starter, but he can go in there and he can stop the run. He can go in there and he can get a pressure. Having those guys on your roster is paramount because it allows you to run a no-nonsense ship. There are no just huge potential guys on the roster that have zero heat to their flame, right? All of the guys on the roster, even if they're very high upside guys, even if they're very high potential guys, they have to be able to play football because otherwise Malik Herring, Nazeeh Johnson, and Jack Cochran will be on the field instead of them. That is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting a like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, so consider hitting the subscribe button to stick around for more. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.